All right. Well, welcome to the From Busy to Rich podcast. In this podcast, we want to inspire people to increase profitability and quality of life, not just for those that are the ones who operate the business, but those that they serve. And today, we got a lot of fun. I got my good buddy here, Gordon Parker. Gordon, thanks for being on the show.
Glad to be here, Wes. Always.
And I get this opportunity to actually do another one on location with him because we are at a wedding. One of our buddies, our study group, actually. So trying to get these guys as I can pick them off during the day to jump on the podcast with me. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Gordon, what I'd love to do is walk everybody through what your practice is like today, a little bit about your team, the approach you use, kind of the day in the life of you, and how long you've been in the business, all that kind of good stuff.
Gotcha. Oh, wow. That's a mouthful.
Yeah, for sure.
So today, I've been in the practice and business for 35 years. We've got a team of 8 of us. I got 2 other advisors on my team, and I'm the primary lead role advisor. A great team that helps support me and everything the work that we do. Different positions. I've got one person that's focused solely on setting my calendar and getting my schedule filled. Got an AFA. He's in charge of really putting everything together as far as meeting notes, preparation for the appointment, presentations, everything. Then I've got 2 other. I got an operations director who makes sure that everything's happening. We close everything, everything's getting done. Then I got a marketing guy that helps make sure that we're out and about where we're supposed to be in the community, building relationships. And that's really what the business is all about relationships. Awesome. I keep being reminded of that almost daily and how important relationships are. So if my ideal client, I guess we look at it that way. I started, back in 1990, talking to anybody and everybody.
Nice.
But my ideal client today is your classic entrepreneur, your business owner. We've got about 35 families who we work very closely with, multiple generations, business owners. I like those wealth creators because they've got a lot going on, very complicated. And that's why the company's name is Heritage Business Strategies. And we like to strategize with those clients.
Nice.
And so work with a business owner. We obviously do an annual retainer with most of them.
Yeah, fee-based approach.
Fee-based approach. We're meeting with them regularly. We run a number of board of directors meetings for a couple of the clients, multifamily meetings, things like that. So we manage money. Of course, back in 1990, there was no money to manage.
Yeah, that's right.
So, we manage a lot of money, and we love life insurance. Life insurance is a liquidity tool. And I've never seen in a state that did not have enough liquidity.
Yeah.
Or too much liquidity.
Too much liquidity, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Lots that didn't have enough. Yeah, for sure. Sure.
So anyway, that's kind of today. I'm 57, about to turn 58, and I think I got another good 10 to 12 years ahead of me.
Nice.
With clients, which has been a blessing. I started practice, merged my practice about 15 years ago with a gentleman who'd been in business for 30 years at that point in time. So my practice length is about 60 years at this point in time. So we've had a lot
of called Heritage back then too.
No, it was not.
No,
well, it was. Yeah, it's always been Heritage. He merged in with me.
Oh, okay.
But what has really been neat is all these plans that he put in place and that I put in place are actually come to fruition. So a blessing in many ways because we're actually seeing the work that we promised would happen, the way it would work. We're actually seeing it unfold before our clients' eyes right now, and they are our biggest promoter because of that.
Do you ever when you're you see things come to pass, go, wow, this actually worked. I didn't know, right?
Yeah. I knew it worked. Now I really know it works.
Yeah. I always love it when you're new in the business and it's like, how many people have you done this for? Well, none, but you could be the first one.
Yeah. Right. So that these experiences give me the confidence to look at a new client, particularly a successful business owner who's probably dealt with some advisors in the past and maybe gotten a few things done. The biggest impediment to a perfect plan is a good plan.
Yeah.
And so as I tell the clients, I'm not here to tell you what's wrong. I'm here to figure out what's missing. Where do you want to go? How quickly you want to get there? And we're going to figure out how to get you there.
Yeah.
And so, being able to look a client in the eye and tell them, here's why you want to go see this attorney and get this document done this way, because here's how the record plays in the future. Yeah. With your daughter, your son, the one that's in the business, the one's not in the business. So we deal with all that stuff.
Nice. Now, are you today? What is you do mostly on location meetings? Are you doing remote meetings at all? How are you operating?
Combination. They either come into my office, or we do a Zoom. a remote meeting. We do go out and see some clients. Just they're a little bit further away. Technology isn't there in some of the rural areas, so we have to go out and see them. And typically, because we're meeting with maybe one family, we're right about an hour and a half away. We're meeting with the parents who are my age, and then the kids that are in the business too. It's just easier to put the four of them in one room with me there, than to try to get them to come to the office.
Now, one thing I wanted to hit on that you do, that we share a common interest in how we like to approach things, is that you do charge annual retainer fees, ongoing annual retainer fees with clients. What about that? Because we both kind of came into the business in a way where we inherited a model, and they didn't include that. It was you work really hard. You do a lot of planning for free for the privilege of placing a product and maybe later managing the money. Why that model? Why does that work for you? What do you see in that?
The old model, or the new model?
New model.
The new model. Gosh, because there's no pressure necessarily to place the product. They're paying for our advice, our guidance, our wisdom, and our time. It has nothing to do with product. They want our experience. They want to know what we know and how we can help them and move them along in life. And so that's worth a lot of money.
And I want to point out, for those of you listening, and I know we have plenty of people out there that you're charging fees. Some of you you're dipping your toe in it. Some of you haven't done it at all yet. When I talk about Gordon charging fees today, where he sits, is like, it's $2,000 a month annual retainers, that kind of fee. So this isn't a small thing. And I think something significant about that is it really does elevate your game. Like when you're charging someone to be the curator of great ideas, you really have to get good at having great ideas, right? Outside of just placing the product and managing the money.
I think back when I started in the business, they used to say, when you go talk to a business owner, put me on the payroll, put me on your payroll. And that was basically, let me sell you key man life insurance. Or let me do an executive bonus, put me on your payroll. That's all it's going. Well, really, I am on the payroll now.
Absolutely.
They're paying their attorney, they're paying their CPA, and even at $2,000 a month for one client, that's way less than they're paying their CPA. And so we deliver plenty of value. But it also, by having that recurring revenue that way, I'm able to be on deck and ready for them anytime. I'm not out there trying to find the next client to place a product to make a living.
And what's the like? Let's say you've got somebody that's been in the business for or been your client already for a little while, maybe a full year. I know first year you're usually cleaning up messes, onboarding stuff. What's it after that look like? What's the rhythm look like from a meeting standpoint?
Each client's a little different. Some we meet with once a month. Regularly, every month. There's some clients I talk to every week. Because your good clients become your friends. Your best friends also. And so you want to find out what's going on. I want to be the first phone call from them. When they got a question or concern or an idea or something, I want them to call me first. Say, hey, Gordon, can I talk to you?
So today you're charging fees, you're for your services, you're managing money, you're putting in place different insurance products that are needed there. What were things like when you came in?
Well, that was the summer of 1990. And back in those days, no one had
14, by the way. 14.
Don't remind me how young you are. Well, 1990, there were a lot of life insurance agents in the business. You think about it, there's less today than there ever was. And, you had your traditional stockbroker, and you could only, people with money had stockbrokers. Back in those days, you still had defined benefit.
Luckily, that wasn't my client base when I got started. They didn't have any money.
So I started with young couples writing life insurance, getting married, and then I figured out once they had a baby, they would buy like twice the amount or 3 times the amount of life insurance. So I started going after that marketplace. I was writing a lot of group insurance back in those days.
Okay.
Health insurance, group health insurance. That was a entry into the business owner marketplace. And then what started to happen was I started to study and learn about the business and learn about, sophisticated planning techniques, estate planning, business succession planning. And those business owners started asking me questions. And that's really when I went to the fee-based role because they're like, Gordon, I know you could help me, but you're just going to try to place the life insurance product. I want your help. So that's where, charging the retainer takes care of that. Because the life insurance product is an easy sale at this point in time because it's the the right answer to the problem. It fixes it. And when they see how it works and they're not being sold, then they just buy.
And when you were getting started, were there moments where you didn't know if this thing was going to work? Like where you thought about maybe I need to do something else, get a real job, as they say.
Yesterday. out a bit. Yeah, I think it takes the first 3 years in the business is like, can I make it here?
Yeah.
Can I do this? I'm actually going to be okay. About the 5th or 7th year, I think that's when you should come to the realization, this is my career. I can make it and I'm going to be successful. Now it's how successful do I want to be?
Yeah. What was the amount of the first fee that you ever charged?
$2,500.
$2,500. And that felt like $1 million, didn't it?
Yeah.
And you're like, what am I going to do with all this for all this involvement?
I was so scared to, and it was my first coaching series case. It would have been 2001 or 2002, maybe something like that. And that family's still with me.
Yeah.
We're actually meeting with the parents on that Wednesday. I go meet with the mom. She wants to change a couple things in her will.
Wow.
Or addendum to her will for some personal effects.
Yeah.
A little family strife right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, when you, I don't know, I think a lot of people out here that are dabbling or haven't, and let's say they inherited our model, our entry point coming in where you're doing a lot of work for the privilege of placing the product. I just remember when I was charging my first fee, because you see all the other stuff that's on the table that if this client works with you, you're going to get, because you already see a solution for managing some money, maybe some insurance, whatever it might be. And you go to that, and to work with us, for us, if we're going to do your planning, it's going to be X. And the old joke was, if it doesn't work, they say, well, no, did I say fee? I said free. That part's free, right? Did you have that trepidation? Did you experience having to make that model shift, and just like, how long did it take you to really feel comfortable that this is the way of the future if I'm going to keep doing this?
It took a few years.
Yeah.
And so we're doing, it was 20 years now I'm doing fees.
Yeah. So when you look back on the things that you feel like were catalysts that really helps you take the practice from where you started to where it is today, and those things that you feel like are continuing to push forward, those kind of evergreen mindsets, principles, what are some of the things that come to your mind?
We're in the business of helping people. And the more we help, the more successful we become. Simple as that. And in that business of helping people, it's about relationships. And if you just focus on who people are, everyone wants to tell their story.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a story. They got their own journey in life. We want to understand what their journey is so that we can participate in the balance of that journey.
Yeah.
We want to understand what's happened to them in the past, because what decisions they made in the past will affect the decisions they make in the future. We want to understand those. So again, just focusing on relationships and making a difference in people's lives. And then it just goes from there. Wes, you've been in it a long time, and you get the same thing. Your clients, we get a cocktail party, and we talk to them, and they're describing a problem they have, and they'll ask your friend, and your friend says, well, Wes takes care of that for us.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. Gordon takes care of that for us. And they're like, well, who's Gordon? I'll get you in touch with him. Yeah. I'll get a phone call the next day. So one of the things I hear in that I think is just fundamental to the human experience being a quality one, because again, this is a podcast, and our mission and win is to help people increase profitability and quality of life. But a big part of quality of life is about enjoying the journey that you're on. And I think one of the things you brought up when you're discovering someone's story and you're really asking them about, hey, looking back, what were the highlights? Like, what are some of your best moments? Because it does a couple things. I think we had John Acuff on the show, I don't know, 10 or so episodes ago. And he, in his book, All You Need's a Goal, one of the things he talks about is this decade behind you, where you create your greatest moments list, where you're, hey, I did this cool thing here. We took this trip. We had this experience, and it creates an immediate sense of gratitude over where you are today. And it also gives you a confidence to know, look at all the stuff we've done in the last 10 years. Imagine what's possible in the next 10, which I think is a big part of what, if you're playing this kind of role, this holistic, guide in the changing landscape is the way I would talk about it. You then can then say, okay, in light of that, then what's a rich life look like to you? And how do you want to evolve over time? And because once you have that clarity, and I think that's what's missing, and I think that's one of the things you do really well with your clients is you help them get clear on where am I at right now in my life? Yep. What does really matter to me in light of the things I've done in the past? Because it's really easy to live someone else's definition of success. Yep. And then you can back into, all right, here's the handful of things that are actually going to move the needle right now. And so, you being in the business and having traveled this journey, are there
are there other fundamentals that stick out to you? Like if you're talking to a new advisor that is 35 years ago, what are you telling that like the relationships, get great relationships, care about the people, look for opportunities to be a blessing, to be a help. What are some of the other things from a business standpoint, like operationally, that come to mind that you think, man, I wish I'd have known that one sooner, because it would have accelerated my growth?
I would have hired more people to help me.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
Yeah, I would have hired a few more people to help. That's been my biggest investment in people.
Yeah.
We jokingly say, Frank Sinatra didn't move the piano.
Right.
I want my team to move the piano, do everything. I just want to show up and sing.
Yeah.
You got to become a specialist at something.
Mm-hmm.
Become really good at something in the business. When we started in the beginning, when I started, I worked 7 days a week, nights. I would
kitchen table at night,
and it'd be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, Saturday morning, Sunday evenings, whatever it took. But I think the secret was getting it done 10,000 times.
Yeah.
Okay. Because once you've done it so many times, you know exactly what they're going to say before they say it.
Right.
You're just waiting for, okay, what answer is this one going to be?
Right.
Okay, I know what to say now.
Right.
And that allows you really to focus on what they're saying, not worried about what you're going to say.
Yeah.
And what that next objection is. So people become a specialist, educate yourself, get educated. If you're young in the business, go ahead and get your CFP done. Just knock that out. Do CLU, CHFC, get your designations, have the letters, because that does create credibility amongst the attorneys and the CPAs because they've done it themselves, and that will help too.
I think that's a great point, because we have my son. He's a junior at TCU right now. He's business finance major, and one of the things he's about to complete as a junior in November is a CFP. And what's fascinating to me is very few people, if you're a college student listening to this, or if you have one, listen, graduating with a degree is table stakes right now. Yep. Everybody's going to have that. But if you have these little things that you can do, like, it just puts you to the front of the line already.
Yep.
And so there's getting that education, getting credentials. At this season, what we always joke is I don't have a CFP.
I don't either.
That's right.
I had someone tell me you're the smartest guy I know that doesn't have a designation.
Yeah. I didn't even go to college, so I don't have that going for me. And
it doesn't matter.
But if there were days where that would have made this easier. There were days where it just would have given me, when I was didn't have all this gray hair, or gray eyebrows like you have right now. It's like, again, if I could go back and tell the younger version of myself, this will just make it a little easier for you. Yep. Those are things. But here's the deal: while I don't have a degree or a CFP, I do have an education, because one of the things we're big on, and we're always, as a study group, sharing books and podcasts and things, because continuing to challenge your operational assumptions, continuing to challenge the way you're doing it now with new things and try and blend them in. It is. We've had a ton of people on the show, very successful advisors, including yourself. And the common denominator is they don't stop growing. They don't stop trying to make it better, make it better, make it better. And there are people in our industry that get to a point and they're comfortable. And, like we say, they're making more money than most people on the street, and lifestyle's pretty good. And then they just quit challenging the normal with new. And I was meeting with I'm in strategic coach, the 10X Ambition program. And I was sitting next to a guy, he's a doctor. But we were talking about the subject, and he said, Wes, do you want a doctor? He said, but here's the problem. Doctors come out and they're focused on nothing but education in the beginning. They come out, they start practicing in a model. He said, and other than what the required thing is to keep their license current, he said, do you want the doctor that stopped growing 10 years ago? Do you want the doctor? Or do you want that person that's constantly every year? They are lifetime learners. And it's a simple answer, but it is a distinguishing factor between elite advisors and those that are just pretty good, pretty comfortable.
Hey, I'll tell you the interaction my wife just had a few weeks ago with our primary care physician, our concierge doctor. She took over the practice. She's in her early 40s, I believe. And my wife, unfortunately, she's in her 50s, and I got a little menopause. And that my wife asked her about, what should I be thinking about, what should we do? And the doctor admits, she goes, well, I really don't know anything about menopause. I guess I really need to take a class or something.
Oh, gosh.
We're like, we're changing now.
Oh, man.
But to your point,
yeah,
Yeah, I'm always trying to change. I want to evolve. I want to be the best that I can be to my clients, to my family, to my friends, relationships, and I want to stay on top of things.
Yeah,
and be ahead of things.
One thing I want to come back to that you said, because I think this is a bigger deal than most people know, and it's one of those things that I think people are so hesitant and reluctant to do it, but is that space of hiring good team members.
Yeah.
And because let's say you're a solo advisor, and you're doing everything, a lot of it really poorly. You're not, if you're meant to be a lead advisor, you're probably not great at paperwork. You're probably not great. Now it's electronic, so it's a little easier, but it's still, it's not your highest and best use to the organization. But man, for so many people, deciding to bring that other human life into your atmosphere of one provision, right? You got to produce to be able to pay for it.
Yep.
Any advice to that? Is there like scarily dancing with that step?
Don't hire somebody like yourself.
Yeah, amen to that too. Yeah.
Right. You get a bunch of people like yourself, nothing's going to get done.
Yeah.
You got to believe in yourself first. This is another way of investing in yourself, is by hiring people to help you be better for your clients.
Yeah.
And so I know, Wes, you've got a procedure and a way of hiring people. Mine's similar.
Yeah.
We've got a process. But yeah, it's quite satisfying when you know that you're actually providing for a number of families too, beyond your own, and providing them a career opportunity, a job, and then they get to be a part of your clients' lives too. And I see my clients; they love each one of our team members. And when they come into the office, they want to say hello. Yeah, they're doing. They're asking questions. We got one client that always comes in with cookies. The team runs down to the little sugar plum bakery and brings in cookies every time. The team. So, again, I think it is a believe in yourself.
Yeah,
I got to make this investment to get to the next step. And yeah, you know what? It may cost you a little bit for a little while, but typically, after about 90 to 120 days, you should start seeing a little bit of a return.
So on that, I want to camp there for just a second, because I think some things in this business. We did a podcast episode a while back called Bamboo and Bicycles, and the whole premise behind it was some things are like, if you are a one speed, when you start in this business, you're on a one speed bicycle, and you get going, finally you get some momentum, you get moving, but you do reach a point where you can only pedal so fast, and the equipment you're on is only capable of moving you so far, and it is a absolute game changer when you add another gear. And to add another gear is especially if you're brand new in the practice and you don't have anybody, an extra person is a whole nother gear. To your point, when we say that, because we also hear these stories of, man, I tried to hire me, it didn't work, they slowed me down. Well, you also, you have to, one, have a rhythm of how you're going to interact with that person.
Yep.
Because if it was just you were just, you set the tone, you set the speed, you could miss meetings with yourself if you wanted to, it's really important. I think that you got to, you need a mechanism to use that gear, because some people, they add the gear, but they haven't practiced how to switch to that gear. And so it's things like, hey, make sure you got a daily headline meeting where you're talking about, hey, what are the things you have for me? What are the things I have for you?
Yep.
Make sure you've got that deeper tactical meeting each week. And for our listeners, a great book that you can read on this is Death by Meeting, Patrick Lencioni. And it's just fantastic. The reason most people don't like meetings is because most people have bad meetings. And so with our team all the time, to this day, we're every morning at 9:00, we're having a 15-minute check-in daily headline meeting so that we can all then dive into whatever it is we need to do. But that's like learning how to switch a gear. You're dancing with that second gear. And the second thing that you said about processes to hiring, because you can also put a second gear on there that's missing teeth, and both literally sometimes. And then in the early days, I might have had some of that. But also just they're not very functional people. And it's kind of like, there are people you hire that are more developmental. They're going to take a while to get where you want them to go.
Yep.
But your first hire, you need somebody that's already excellent administratively. And I would say if you're ever going to stretch in who you take on in that role, it is somebody that you think is way beyond what you need.
Yep.
Because it's going to make you so much better, so much faster, because they're not missing teeth. And some of the common things we use, and we'll link to some of these in the show notes, but is the Colby, where it's basically an assessment of how your natural mode of operation, and you need somebody in the Colby that's got great follow through and probably higher on the fact finding, meaning they love information, they want more detail, follow through. They require systems, they require processes, and you need to interact with those processes. Otherwise, those kind of people won't stay working for you. You don't really need somebody that's more wired like us, which is high what they call quick start, which is that's how you deal with change and new. And we're pretty big on change and new. We love new ideas, new thought processes. This person, like you said, is not going to be like you.
Yep.
And that's good because they're going to do all these things so much better than your makeup could ever allow.
Yep.
The other thing I would say is the working genius. For people who haven't done that, again, Patrick Lencioni's work, but where it's basically everybody has two geniuses, two competencies, and two frustrations. So the geniuses, they're the things that basically it's like you poured hot coffee into a Yeti and put the lid on. You got a ton of energy for it. You'll stay hot a long time if you're working in those areas. Your competencies, it's kind of like you took the lid off the Yeti. And so you still have energy for it, but you just run out of gas quicker. And then the frustrations, it's kind of like you took that coffee that's in that Yeti with the lid off and you poured it into a plastic cup. You're going to run out real fast. And the thing that we do constantly is always trying to work towards everybody working where they're spending the majority of their time on their genius and less of the time on, or none of the time on the frustrations and very little time if possible on the competencies. And when you're newer and you just have less people, you're going to have some crossover there. You can't help it. But as you said, the quicker you can move to adding people on the team, they're going to allow you to do more of what you as the lead advisor need to do, you as the leader of the company need to do. The happier you're going to be, happier your team's going to be, the more money everybody's going to make, and the higher quality of life that everybody's going to have. So with that, I'd like to finish up in this area with you is what's the future look like? Like, where do you see your practice going? What do you see yourself doing?
I want to continue to grow in my space with my ideal clients.
Yeah.
Which means that I'm going to need to build my team up so they can take over a lot of the clients that I have great relationships with, but just are not my ideal clients. So we talk about working in the genius area.
Yeah.
There's a subset that I really like that really gets me motivated. And that's who I really want to concentrate on.
Yeah. And I would even say, observing some of the ways you're growing now, you're not just growing up, you're growing out. Like you've got other advisors that you're developing to handle a lot of the people that are still great clients.
Oh, yeah.
Just maybe they don't need everything that comes along with you all.
Correct. That's exactly right. So, it's the waterfall effect. I've been in the community my whole life and we still, people come in the door and they're great people, good people. And I can help them. But that's where I let them know, hey, you're a part of our team now, but here's who your advisor's going to be. I'll know exactly what they're doing with you. And if you need me, I'll be there, but they're going to take good care of you. So that way we don't have to say no.
Yeah.
We don't want to say no. And then it allows me to, be in that space I want to be in. I want to work more hours.
Yeah.
And I've done that.
Yeah.
I like to work just a few hours less, but I don't have too bad of a schedule now.
Right.
And I'm still running 12 to 13, 14 appointments a week.
Yeah.
So
some of those are on the boat.
Some of those are on the boat.
You got a pretty cool boat.
Yep. That's the floating office.
That's right. That's right.
And we've raised,
when in doubt, deduct it out. Right?
We've raised over $200,000 in the boat for charity.
Nice.
Doing with dinner cruises. So that's been kind of fun doing that also. But
love it.
That's been a game changer. We took 3 weeks off this summer, went north on the boat, saw some friends and family and all that stuff. So just continue to be the best at what I can be. Continue to learn. We got sunset coming up with 2026 and election and all that. So things are going to continue to change. We know that. Nothing's going to stay the same. I just want to be ahead of the wave. Yeah.
Carl Richards, he's got some of the best language I've heard around this, but he talks about how a lot of times advisors become a defender of an outdated map instead of a guide in a changing landscape. Right. And I think just as everything you've said today and that we've been talking about, it really does have to do with those iterations, the evolutions of who you're becoming in the process of what you're pursuing, and knowing that you need to be able to sometimes make course corrections. When you're on your boat and you're traveling and there's a storm, you were going to go that direction, but maybe you change course a little bit, or you hold a little bit. Or, right. So understanding that stuff's going to come up that nobody knows, nobody can predict, nobody can expect. Yep. And that's that in and of itself, when you can tell a client in advance, this won't be right. I can promise all the assumptions we make, the one guarantee I can make is they're wrong. Some things are going to change and evolve, but we just build that in the plan, knowing that when that happens, we can go left, we can go right, we can stop for a second.
Flexibility
and helping them understand that altering our course or changing direction sometimes is the healthiest way to live the quality of life that you want and increase your profitability.
Well, you can't expect change if you're not willing to change.
Yeah.
You can't keep doing the same thing and expect change. So I certainly don't live my day like I did last year.
Yeah.
And I hope it's going to change for next year too.
Yeah. That's been awesome, man. And thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, sir.
Appreciate you, buddy.
Love you. Yep.
Love you. You guys, so we'll link to a lot of these in the show notes. Maybe if we can, your fee for services, that little worksheet in there.
Yep.
And so people can go grab that amongst the other things we've talked about here. And so look forward to seeing you guys all again on the Zoom or in your ear, however you like to listen, and give us some likes, give us some comments, some stars. Those really do help in spreading of these ideas. So hope you guys have a great week.